All right, now with the New Orleans Saints, it is finally time for the prince that was promised, Jameis Winston, the savior of Louisiana football in a year where LSU looks so bad. Nick, you have an article up on New Orleans on Football right now about tailoring the offense to suit Winston now that he is the starter. First, when did this process start, and what does it look like to tailor this offense more to Winston's strengths?
I think it already has started a little bit. I mean, just starting with the stuff at the line of scrimmage, the way they're doing their protections and line calls and all that stuff is now kind of suited to fit him. And look, I think it was just important to pick one guy and kind of have that 2-week ramp-up period because there's just different ways of doing that. Like something from the Mike point, Jameis likes code words to kind of distinguish where he's at and who it is, where Noah Taysom would be like 52 to the right. And just for Eric McCoy to be able to settle in with one guy and get comfortable with that, I think that's important. But, even in the preseason, some of the stuff they're doing, like the first touchdown to Callaway, that's not a play that Drew Brees was ever running. Like you weren't running 2 deep routes and waiting until, 25 yards down the field for the safety to declare where he's going and then throwing the ball to the other guy. Like that's just not something that Brees could do, and he couldn't get the ball down the field like that. And I think they'll run a lot more play action. They had maybe about 100 snaps of play action the last 2 years each. And, Josh Allen, it's plus 200. Mahomes, it's plus 200. So they'll do that and allow plays to develop a little bit longer. And, I think it's just going to be a lot of relying on the offensive line, and that'll help you accentuate his strengths and play to the ability to throw the ball down the field a little bit more. And, I just think it's going back to 2014, 2015, 2012, pulling out some concepts from there that kind of fell out of the playbook and putting them back in and allowing some of those shot plays down the field. I mean, when they had Brandon Cooks, they used to do the 13 personnel stuff, with the 3 tight ends. And you just see how Sean would be able to set up plays throughout, even going from week to week, but even in one game, just he'd keep running run plays out of it and pull the safety in. And then, Brees could throw the ball down the field and they'd set up shot plays that were just so easy to hit with a guy like Brandon Cooks on the outside. I think they can do some of that with Deontay Harris. And it's just a lot of things that they used to do that I think fell out of the offense are now back on the table. And you just have this full complement of things you can do as opposed to, just kind of getting your 7-yard plays that they've kind of relied on the last 3 or 4 years.
Nick, what are they going to do at the tight end position? We were talking about it before you came on. Vanette's going to be on the IR. We don't really know the deal with Adam Troutman, so hopefully you can update us there as well. Juwan Johnson is not someone that's going to have his hand in the ground for 30 snaps in this game. So how do you see that position playing out against Green Bay?
I think Troutman's close. I wouldn't roll out this week, but I wouldn't quite put him in there yet either. I saw him last week running in the end zone doing his conditioning work, so he's at least moving well and is close. So I don't think that's something that's rolled out yet. If he can't play, I think you just, Garrett Griffin's out there probably blocking for you on early downs, and he does a good job of that. You're right. I don't think Juwan Johnson's going to be the guy that you run your running plays behind or anything like that. But I do think even when Troutman's healthy, even when Van Et's healthy, I think he's going to be the guy out there on 3rd downs in the 2-minute package in your obvious passing situations. And I think he's going to get a lot of snaps and be a big part of the offense in that area. But, yeah, maybe you bring up Arma from the practice squad and you just get extra fullbacks out there and maybe they help you out in some of those areas. They're just going to kind of have to piece that area of the offense together early in the season if Troutman can't play. But if Troutman misses this week, I would expect him 100% to play against Carolina. I don't think this is something that's going to linger. And, I think it's a decent chance he plays this week. We just don't quite know that yet.
All right, so we're going to start previewing Green Bay next. But first, Nick, one guy, and it makes sense why we didn't talk about it because he is such a known quantity and a team with so many unknowns. But that is Alvin Kamara. What has Alvin Kamara looked like during camp? How ready do you feel he is? Like, what kind of season do you expect Kamara to have?
If he stays healthy, I think he's going to have another huge season. And I think, really that this team should run through him. I don't think that the identity of this offense should be, anything other than Alvin. And I think you can cater to that a little bit more than you have in the past. And, I just think that he's going to be a more dynamic player than he was. And I don't know if that manifested in more yards or more targets or anything like that. But I think the way that they can use him can help open things up a little bit more for everybody else. Because, look, I mean, the last 2 years, it was just kind of like Alvin had to stay very close to Breeze, because if he couldn't get the ball out, he needed to be able to check it down very quickly, because, you know, he's not hitting the route down the field. So Alvin really wasn't doing a whole lot out of the slot, and they kind of just, you know, minimized what he was able to do as a receiving threat. And I think we're going to see him more out of the slot. You're going to see snaps with him on the outside like it was in 2017. You know, the very first game he ever played for the Saints, he ran an out and up route down the field and got targeted on it, which is something that you just really don't see other running backs do. And those are the things he's capable of, and it just kind of went away the last few years. So I think that you're going to see him do a lot more, be more dynamic. I think he's going to help out with that receiver depth, just because you can flex him out and do some different things. But, yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be, you know, I think he's the best offensive player in the league, honestly, and I don't think that's going to disappear or go away. I think he's still going to get those yards and the targets and be as dynamic as he's always been. And like I said, I think a lot of things got to start with him. And even when Mike Thomas is back, I think he needs to be option one. You got to be thinking about how to get the ball to Alvin and then worry about everybody else after that.
Nick, what'd you think about the Desmond Trufant signing? You get a veteran guy, 30 years old, made a Pro Bowl in the past, obviously not playing at that level. What'd you make of that signing?
It's another guy on the team. I mean, I don't think he's really going to make a difference. Last year I thought was kind of bad for him in Detroit. You know, there's a lot of guys that had weird seasons last year, though, so you're kind of waiting to see if it was something about the offseason that maybe set people back and they just never really got on track. But I mean, they got three guys at the position. I put Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on that cornerback depth chart. He played 79% of his snaps at corner last year. PJ Williams is, you know, at least part of it. So it's not like they really just had three guys. I think there's other options, but you want another person there. And, you know, I think he's a decent addition. He's a veteran. He's been around for a while. I mean, depending on what his mentality is, he could probably be somebody that helps Paulson Adebo out a little bit and, you know, just gives another veteran voice in that room. But, you know, they just need guys there. And, look, if you're signing cornerbacks on September 6th, September 7th, it probably is Desmond Trufant. Like, they just really aren't guys out there that you're going to be able to sign at this point that can come in, be a starter, make a difference, and really change your perspective of what the defense is. So, you know, if he's good enough to play in a pinch, that's really what they need at this point. Ken Crawley's still battling his hamstring injury. He's iffy for this week. That's something we'll probably know a little bit better tomorrow when we get to see who's practicing and who isn't. So if he's out and Paulson Adebo's in there, if you get an injury, you know, all of a sudden you're playing P.J. Williams, which, you know, isn't the outcome you really want. So it's good to get another guy on the team, but I don't think he's going to change the outlook of the defense or anything like that.
Nick, if the Saints are going to pull up the upset on Sunday and beat the reigning MVP, beat the Packers in Jacksonville, what needs to happen?
Marshawn Lattimore has to play like, you know, the Hall of Famer he looks like when he's on, and take Devontae Adams out of the game. And then, you know, the other corner just needs to make sure that you aren't getting beat by non-Devontae Adams players. Like last year, Alan Lazard looking like, you know, a Pro Bowl player against the Saints. Those are the things that can't really happen. The interior D-line, I think, needs to prove that they're okay being down two guys. For me, that's the biggest concern, I think, on the whole entire roster at this point. You know, and you're going against a really good running back. So, you know, they got to be solid up front. And that's a position I think that maybe you can disguise it a little bit with your strengths at other spots. You know, I think your linebackers being really good can help you cover up some of that stuff. And, you know, it just needs to not be a significant detriment. And then offensively, it's really just about Jameis showing that he's really rewired the way that he's thinking about the way he does his job, and he's not taking unnecessary risks and isn't turning the ball over. You know, I know Packers fans love their offensive lineman. I'm going to mess up saying his first name.
Oh, never mind.
Jenkins.
Yeah,
so he's starting at left tackle this week. The All-Pro left tackle's out, so there could be a little advantage for Marcus Davenport. You know, Jenkins is a decent interior guy. He's played at tackle before, but, you know, taking the All-Pro out of the mix is an advantage that I think, Davenport could have. So he needs to step up, show that what he did during camp is legitimate. It can translate into games, that bull rush can be there whenever he wants it and he can dominate with it. If all these little things that created optimism during the preseason, during training camp come to fruition, I think this is a really good team. And I don't know if it's a massive upset if all these things happen the right way. I think it's going to be a tough game, though, in reality. And really, if they kind of, go in here and protect the ball and, just don't make mistakes, it's really the Saints versus the Saints at this point. And we kind of got to find out what they are. And, we need Jameis to kind of declare who he is and what he's going to be so that there's a standard. And you can look at a game and be like, okay, this is where they stand. But it's really hard to project anything until we get questions to a lot of these things that we just don't know yet.
Nick Underhill, Nick_Underhill, NewOrleans.football is a site. They're the best. Almost $30,000 raised for the Second Harvest Food Bank. Go ahead, look on Twitter. You can look to give there. Nick, I know no one is more excited for you than have actual games and film to break down. Enjoy Sunday, Nick, and I can't wait to talk next Tuesday.